Now you've looked up the melting point of benzoic acid, and it's 122 degrees. So what I'm going to do is heat up my sample to 122. Okay. If it was, the melting point was less than 100, I could heat it up with some water. Okay. But the melting point is more than 100. So the thing I'm going to heat it up with is glycerol. Okay. And glycerol is the standard name for propane 1,2,3 triol. So this is glycerol, and so I poured some in here. It's quite gloopy. Okay. And its boiling point is well above 100. Okay, so I can get it above 100. So how am I going to heat my sample? Well, the sample is put into a capillary tube. Yeah. So these capillary tubes, most capillary tubes are open at both ends. We've got some here which are closed at one end and open at the other, and you can feel which one is closed at because it's smooth. Okay. If it wasn't closed at one end, we'd have to close it by melting it, but we don't need to worry about that. It's open at this end. So what we want to do is get a small sample of the material that we want to test into this capillary tube. And of course, it's got to go in at the open end, yeah, and then we want to get it down to the closed end. So here's a sample, and I'm going to basically the open end, and you tap it. Okay, and of course, you get a little bit of the stuff stuck in the wrong end. Okay, so now we've got to try and get it down to the right end. So there's various ways you can do it. You can just try tapping it, okay, and see if it's some of it's gone down there. Okay, so tapping. The drier the sample is, yeah, the easier it is to get it down to the bottom. There's another little trick you can do, which is if you take a gauze and you just rub the open end across the gauze, the vibration knocks the solid down to the bottom. Okay, so there's enough there to see. So I've got myself a thermometer, and of course the thermometer needs to be, the standard ones we use are no good because they're going to take to 105, 110. So this is a mercury in glass thermometer. Okay, so you can tell it's mercury, whereas those are alcohol ones. And this one goes up to, looks like 240 degrees. So I could heat it nice and nice. It's well within the range. Got a little bit of rubber tubing there, and the rubber tubing is there to hold the sample next to the thermometer bulb. Okay. So I'll just shuffle it around so I can see both the sample and the scale at the same time. Now I could put this directly into the mixture, okay, but as a top tip here is to have an oil bath within an oil bath. So here's some more glycerol. Probably a bit too much. So there's some in here. And if I pop my thermometer into that, and then pop that into there, okay, and then I'm going to heat it. Okay, so I need a Bunsen. Find me a Bunsen. Right, so what happens in here? If you've spilled glycerol on the mat, the gauze or whatever, then it'll start to smoke. Be a bit scary, but it shouldn't. The reason this is clamped, of course, is because it's a bit top heavy. And so what you really don't want is, if you haven't clamped this, it's very unstable. So we've got a clamp system, so it's not going to tip out and fall onto. Okay, so the inner water bath, the glycerol bath in the beaker is heating up quite rapidly. It's being directly heated. But the thing in the boiling tube is going to be a little bit sheltered from the heat, so it heats up less rapidly. So you can stir the whole thing just with the thermometer like that, and we'll wait for the temperature to go up. So what we're looking for is when something melts. So this applies whether you're using this version or whether you're using the electric versions which you've got. You're looking for clear sign when something melts. So if you think about what happens if an ice cube melts, how do you know that an ice cube is melting? Okay, it melts slowly over this big chunk of thing. But basically you can't see through an ice cube, it's opaque. Okay? And as soon as it changes to a liquid state, it becomes transparent. So you're looking for the change of can I see through it, yeah, or not. And it's quite a tiny little sample. But the beauty of doing it in these curved beakers and this curved boiling tube is it actually has a magnifying effect on the visuals, so you can look at it and it's a bit more easy to see when it melts. So basically I'm going to keep an eye on it and see when does that white powder in the bottom disappear from view, turn into liquid. So white crystals turn into colourless liquids. Okay, it really is okay and a clear change. But the melting point is quite high, so I'm going to heat this up. So I'm roasting it at the moment, okay, to try and get it probably to about 100 or so, because I know that we're at the target temperature of 122. But what you want to do is to make sure the thermometer is reading the actual temperature of the sample. If you heat it too quickly, the thermometer hasn't really caught up with the temperature of the sample, so you get a poor reading. So you can heat it nice and strongly to 110, 115. Okay. But at that point, you need to slow things down. What I often do is when it gets to like 5 degrees below the target temperature, I'll turn the Bunsen off. Okay, because the residual heat in the outer oil bath is going to come through and heat up the inner one. So the inner one lags behind the outer one. So when this thermometer here is reading about 115, I can turn the Bunsen off, yeah, and just let the temperature rise a little bit. Okay. Now you can only spot the melting when you're going from solid to liquid. If I let the whole thing cool, what's going to happen? Your sample. It was a liquid, you're cooling it down, what's going to happen? Solidifies. It's much harder to spot the change of going from liquid to solid. So this is a one shot, we only get one chance at this. Okay? You can only measure the melting point on the way up. Yeah? You can't think, oh, I missed it, I'll let it cool back down again, and then go again. Because the reason it's visible is you've got lots and lots of tiny crystals, and it's clearly nicely opaque. If you have a liquid which solidifies, it just solidifies in one big block, and you can't see those crystals anymore, it's a lot harder to see. So if you mess it up on the first one, then you have to start again. Now, it's a bit like titrations. Your first reading that you get is rough, okay? So you don't actually ever use the first one. So you need to do at least one rough and then one accurate. Better still would be one rough, two accurate, if you've got the time. So this is up to 70 degrees now. I don't know if you can notice, but the liquid is starting to get a bit more runny, less viscous as it gets hotter. And we're up to 80. Yeah. And it's, you shouldn't get, the glycerol should never get hot enough to start smoking. Okay, if it looks like there's some vapor coming off it, basically you shouldn't use that hard. You might want to put it down a bit. So I'm just starting to get. Sometimes the glycerol is used again and again. It gets water vapor in it, and what you're actually getting is the water vapor steam coming off. So it's okay at the moment. It's just steam. If it was like 150 degrees or something, it would start to smoke. That's a bad thing. Okay, so we're at 95 on here now. So at this point, I'll have a little check. Is it still solid? Yes, it's really easy. If you turn the thing so that the crystals are right, it's got the mercury bulb behind it. Again, that's quite a nice way, a background to look at to see. So we're at 100. What did we say we're supposed to be? Target 122. Mm-hmm. So starting to get a little bit closer to the cut-off point now, where I turn it off, turn the Bunsen off. I'm also getting, I don't know if you can see, because we're starting to get bubbles in the glycerol. Okay, so that's a bad thing. So I'm going to turn this off now. Okay. And just let the residual heat take it up there. I'm just looking through and seeing where it goes. If you're doing this method, and in fact if you're doing that method over the electron, remember you can only get the melting point on the way up. So if this goes up and heats, I heat this up to 130, oh yeah, it's gone, whatever. Oh, it's 140, yeah, definitely gone. I can't start the process again until all this kit is cooled down to 115. when you go, don't blast past the melting point, yeah, because then you've got to switch it off, let it all cool down again. Otherwise, it will be above the melting point. You'll put your sample into the thing, and it'll melt straight away before you're expecting. So, nice, easy, low-tech method. These things, ridiculously expensive, okay? A couple of £100 each. I'm in the wrong business. But we could be using. So we've got enough to do one of those each. Yeah? So much the same with these ones. The only difference is that you're looking down through a lens, and the capillary tube with your stuff is sitting in a hot metal block, which is being electrically heated, and you can measure the temperature on that. Okay. We good? Happy to do that?